This is our last lesson in chapter 0. This lesson is lesson 8. It's all about dividing fractions and mixed numbers. So let's get started. Our only vocab word for this chapter, this lesson, is the word complex fraction. And a complex fraction is a fraction made up of one or more fractions. Okay, so it's like a fraction with one or more fractions inside of it. We have 3 examples here for you to look at. Excuse me. If you notice, in each of these complex fractions, there is one fraction bar that is bigger than the rest. And that is really important for you to pick that out, maybe even underline it or highlight it or make it bold with your pen or pencil. And that fraction bar is the big one in the complex fraction. It kind of divides our numerator from our denominator, and it tells us where to read the words divided by. Okay, so when I read this problem here, I don't say 5/6 over 8/9. We say 5/6 divided by 8/9. This guy here is 10/15 divided by 8. This one is 9.5 divided by 2/3. Okay, so it's taking the place of the division sign. That's how we read that. So get practicing with reading these properly. Okay, notes. Please follow along in your notes. Write a fraction division problem in complex fraction form. So we definitely want to practice how to write problems to go from our horizontal notation like this and how to change that into a complex fraction. So we'll see that in a minute. Make sure that all mixed numbers have been turned into improper fractions. That shouldn't surprise you because we had to do that with multiplying. Then once we have everything set up and ready to go, first we multiply the outers, then we multiply the inners, and in our final answer, outers go on top, inners on the bottom. It's a really easy visual way for us to divide fractions and mixed numbers. And really, I only have one example for you today. This one should be enough. This should be good. This is number 3 from your notes, so please follow along. Feel free to watch this more than once, because you're only going to see one practice problem here. It's a quick lesson. So we see we have 4 4/5 divided by 2 3/4. And the first thing we want to do is write this in complex fraction form. So our first number always goes on the top. 4 4/5 divided by 2 3/4. When I write my complex fractions, I like to make sure that middle bar stands out. I want it to be big and bold. I don't want anybody to have any questions about it. Okay, so I recommend you do the same thing. After we write it in complex fraction form, our next step is to make sure that our numerator and denominator are both fractions. So that means we've got to change these guys into improper fractions. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24. Fifths, because we just bring our denominator right over there. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Fourths, remember we just bring our denominator right on over there. And now we can go ahead and solve our complex fraction. Remember what we said, we multiply our outers first. 24 times 4 is 96. Outers go on top. Inners come next. 5 times 11 is 55. And inners go on the bottom. I'm left with an improper fraction, so I need to do a quick division problem to straighten that out. 55 goes into 96 one whole time. 1 times 55 is 55. I subtract, and I get 41. 41 is my remainder, so that becomes the numerator in my final answer, and my denominator stays the same, 55. So final answer here is 1 41 55ths. Feel free to watch that a couple more times if you need to. That's how they all work. They're all pretty quick and easy. So I don't think you should have any trouble with this lesson. Ask any questions and start getting ready for your Chapter 0 test.